Hubby fired me from a job I don't work, by user Leroix_mommy. My husband is a manager at a local big-name grocery. We were down to one car at the time as the other clunker died and had not yet been replaced. I was waiting in the front of the store for my husband's shift to end, when a crazy lady demanded I check her out. I had barely gotten out sorry, I don't. When she stomped off to a manager to complain. I overhear her complaining to hubby that lazy employee, pointing to me, refused to help me and she should be fired. Hubby walks over to me with a big grin on his face, that crazy lady couldn't see, winked at me and fired me on the spot. He said very loudly, "You will never work here again." I played along, covered my face with my hands and started fake sobbing saying, "My babies, how will I feed my babies?" I would like to think crazy lady felt horrible, but I peeked through my fingers as I ran to the back only to see her smug face. Later in the car, hubby said it was all he could do not to crack up. Written up for not seating someone at Chili's, by user Darkaplat. I worked for CompUSA in 1999. The uniform matched Chili's at the time, khakis and a red polo. As the Chili's was directly across from our store, many of us ate there at lunch. So sitting at the bar area running through my workday to that point, I wind up with the store manager walking up to my table asking what do I think I'm doing. And a guy standing nearby with his arms crossed looking pissed. I looked at him and said, waiting for my burger, with a raised eyebrow pointing at my shirt, "Manager name, I eat here 3 times a week, you know me and that I don't work for you." The Chili's manager clicked in almost immediately and apologized, then explained to the customer that not everyone wearing a red shirt worked for him. Unfortunately, the offended restaurant patron went across the street and complained to my management that I was abusive. Despite the Chili's manager backing my story, my management wrote me up. There's a reason why CompUSA went out of business. Moronic management was definitely part of it. You can't just abandon me here, by user 13. This isn't exactly I don't work here but close enough, I think, as in someone incorrectly assumed I was obligated to assist them. So, I live in a neighborhood that borders a main road to the north and west. East and south are freeways. All in all, there are only 3 entry/exit roads to the neighborhood, all to/ from the main road in the north and northwest. Traffic on the main road is pretty bad at the moment due to construction elsewhere. Technically it's possible to cut through my neighborhood to avoid some of the heavy traffic, but the road's quite narrow with lots of turns and one-way streets, making it a longer route, so GPS systems usually don't suggest it. Today the main road was pretty much at a standstill when I was driving home. As I was finally making a turn into my neighborhood, I noticed a car behind me, nothing unusual here. A few turns later the car was still behind me, still nothing strange. I'm driving even deeper into the neighborhood, away from the main road with the car still behind me. Well, okay, other people live here too. Eventually I pull into my driveway and the other car stops too. This feels strange now. As I walk to my door, the driver, an older guy, rolls down the window and starts yelling at me how I misled him, why didn't I take the shortcut to the main road, how I left him stranded in this maze, that I can't just abandon him in the middle of nowhere, how it's somehow my fault he decided to follow me, and how I'm a terrible person. I'd like to say I had a good answer, but I was so shocked and confused that I just said that he decided to follow me out of his free will and made sure I locked the door behind me. Luckily he never got out of his car and took off a few minutes later. He's probably still circling the neighborhood, looking for an exit. Lady mad, I laughed at her, by user the real Idolos. So this just happened to me yesterday while out doing some Christmas shopping. I went to a Total Wine and More near me to pick up some whiskey and wine as gifts for family members. Now, for anyone who is familiar with this store, all the employees are very helpful and dressed in white button-down dress shirts with black dress pants and dress shoes to look as professional as possible when helping customers with selections. I on this day was wearing a Santa hat, a orange Flyers hoodie and jeans. I look nothing like any of the employees. Now this store is in a very high-income town, so most people there are used to just getting their way, as I experienced that when I worked in town in high school. I walk into the store and start heading to the area I know of that has the whiskey I need when a mid-50s age woman pops out of an aisle and looks my direction asking if I work here. I at first had no idea she was talking to me, because why would she be? I look nothing like the employees, but she says it about 3 times as I'm walking towards her. When I finally get next to her and she puts her arm out to stop me, she again says, "Do you work here?" And I start to laugh. I look myself up and down and just say to her, "Do you really think I work here?" She gets flustered and says, "Well, you are wearing a hat to WHIH." I laugh even more and look around saying, "Yes, I am the only one, so what makes you think a Christmas hat means I'm an employee when none of the others have one?" She gets mad saying I did not have to be rude, but I just walked away laughing the whole time that she could be so far off. Home Depot with my daughter, by user Philijan. This is a funny one that I brought on myself. Home Depot has this kids workshop where you buy a little wooden car kit and they set up tables for the kids to work with their parents building them. They give the kids a tiny junior Home Depot apron, just like the employees wear. I brought my daughter, who was 5 years at the time. My daughter refused to wear the apron, so I put it on because I knew it would get a laugh out of her. After we were done building and decorating her car, I wanted to do some shopping. You know where this is going. I forgot I had on the mini apron while we were walking around. I took a few times of people asking me for help before I realized what was happening. The third time a customer started asking for help, I realized I was wearing the world's smallest Home Depot apron. The customer and I had a good laugh about it. No Karens in this story, but I've always laughed when I remember it. It's also a great memory of daddy-daughter time with my daughter. She's a teenager now, so those memories are precious to me.